Shauna Shipman is a character in Yellowjackets who embodies the blurred lines between survival, guilt, and morality. Season 3 definitely dove into the complexity of her character and showed us just how evil she could be. But can she be redeemed? Let's talk about it. I'm Pamela, welcome back to the channel. So, Shauna Shipman's actions, both in the past and the present, raise a provocative question. Is she redeemable? To answer this question, we have to examine her choices, the motivations behind her choices, and the broader context of her trauma and human nature. Shauna's actions include betrayal, violence, and moral compromise, which paint her as a deeply flawed character. But we have seen that she is capable of remorse, love, and self-awareness, so it might suggest that redemption is possible for her, but it's not guaranteed. Ultimately, her redeemability depends on whether or not you believe personal growth and atonement can outweigh the weight of past sins. Shauna's journey in Yellowjackets is marked by choices that challenge morality. In the 1996 timeline, her decisions are shaped by the brutal realities of survival. But even before her time in the wilderness, one of her most significant transgressions is her affair with Jeff, her best friend Jackie's boyfriend. And this betrayal sets the stage for a rift that culminates in Jackie's tragic death. And while Shauna doesn't directly cause Jackie's death, her role in their fractured friendship and her failure to reconcile contribute to what leads to Jackie's death. And I definitely think her feeling guilty for Jackie's death is kind of what causes her to spiral and begins her descent into madness that we see play out in season 3. And as the girl's situation in the wilderness becomes even more dire, Shauna's moral compass deteriorates. She participates in the group's descent into ritualistic violence and cannibalism, starting with the consumption of Jackie. And while these acts are framed as necessary for survival, Shauna's active role in some of these events shows a willingness to embrace her darker impulses. And her almost detached approach to these horrific events suggests a loss for the moral compass that she once had, which does raise questions about whether or not she can ever return to a state of goodness. And in the present day timeline, Shauna's actions are no less troubling. Her affair with Adam and her subsequent involvement in his murder reveal that she is still grappling with the instincts that she picked up in the wilderness. When she suspects that Adam is blackmailing the group, she kills him in a moment of panic and self-preservation. And although you can argue that this act is defensive, it is followed by her chillingly methodical cover-up, which does demonstrate a capacity for cold calculation. And her willingness to let her daughter Callie and her husband Jeff bear the emotional fallout of her choices further complicates things and makes you question her morals. And I think these actions suggest that the wilderness did not merely test Shauna, it reshaped her into someone who defaults to survival instincts, even in a civilized world. And to argue that Shauna is irredeemable, you have to focus on the impact of her choices. Her betrayal of Jackie is not really a one-off mistake, but rather a deliberate act rooted in envy and selfishness. And these are qualities that persist in her adult life. Her participation in cannibalism and the rituals, although a lot of it is done for survival, cross a moral line that many would find unforgivable. And as we see in season 3, she sort of starts to enjoy it more. It's not just for survival. The fact that she adapts so readily to these acts, taking on a leadership role, does suggest a troubling ease with violence. And her present-day murder of Adam, even if motivated by fear, is a reminder that she remains capable of lethal impulsivity. And the collateral damage to her family, particularly Callie, underscores her inability to fully escape the wilderness's influence, which does cast doubt on her capacity for change. And although sometimes she does seem to express remorse, I do think her remorse is kind of inconsistent. She does express guilt over Jackie's death and Adam's murder, but I think some of her actions sometimes show the opposite. Her cover-up of Adam's death and her manipulation of those around her suggests that self-preservation trumps accountability. And her tendency to compartmentalize her trauma rather than confront it head-on further undermines the argument for her redeemability. And I do think she's either unwilling or unable to do the work necessary for true change. I mean, in season 3, we see her hunger for power take form, and she has little remorse for anything. And certain moments like fighting for Coach Ben's death and what she says to Travis, "Do you want me to make it 2 for 2 with your brother?" She just shows no emotion other than anger. And especially her willingness to hunt down Mari, and certain moments with that where she says to Mari, "Tough break, Mar," like she has no emotion. And after everything she's been through with Jackie's death and Mari's death, she still hunted down Melissa in the present timeline, who she supposedly cared about in the wilderness. And yes, she did think Melissa was messing with her life, but the way she just attacked her and bit off a chunk of her arm, forced her to eat it, when she knows that she has a child of her own and a wife. And that combined with the ending that we got for season 3, where Shauna is journaling and she says, "I was a warrior, I was a fucking queen, and I'm gonna start taking that back." I don't know if Shauna can be redeemed. I used to really like her character, but season 3 sort of changed my opinion on her. But I do know she still has a lot of defenders out there. So Shauna's redeemability can be argued through her humanity, which does persist sometimes despite her darkest moments. Her actions in the wilderness, while horrific, are framed by the show as a collective response to extreme circumstances. The girl's descent into cannibalism is not a choice made in isolation, but a group survival mechanism. And Shauna's pregnancy in the wilderness does add another layer of complexity. Her drive to survive is not just for herself, but her unborn child as well. But Shauna's guilt and self-awareness does make a case for her redemption. In the present, she's haunted by Jackie's memory, which you can argue suggests that she does feel some kind of regret. And her conversations with Callie and Jeff do show a desire to reconnect and protect her family, even if her methods are flawed. And her willingness to confess to Adam's murder to the police, even though it's under pressure, does indicate a flicker of accountability that I suppose could grow with time. And these moments might suggest that Shauna is not a sociopath, but a deeply traumatized person struggling to reconcile her past with her present. And I think the show itself does resist clear moral judgments, which does invite viewers to empathize with its flawed characters. Although Shauna claims that she doesn't even like her daughter, I do think a part of her loves Callie, so her love for her daughter, her loyalty to the other survivors, and her few moments of vulnerability do paint her as someone possibly capable of growth. And redemption in this context does not require perfection, but a commitment to betterment. And Shauna's small steps towards honesty and connection suggest she might be on this path. And the show does convey that circumstances can push anyone to unthinkable acts, blurring the line between victim and perpetrator. Shauna's redeemability can't be separated from the show's exploration of trauma and moral relativity. Shauna's experiences shape her in ways that make traditional notions of good and evil inadequate. Her present-day struggles with PTSD and dissociation possibly suggest that her moral failings are as much a product of her circumstances as her character, and possibly judging her as irredeemable would be to ignore the systemic forces that shaped her, from the wilderness's brutality to society's failure to help her reintegrate, which we're hopefully going to see in season 4. So will Shauna be redeemed? I don't know. But is she capable of it? I do believe so. Shauna Shipman is neither a monster nor a saint. She's a deeply human character whose redeemability depends on one's perspective of morality and forgiveness. Her betrayals, violence, and instincts for self-preservation make her a profoundly flawed character, and her inconsistent remorse does raise doubts about her willingness to change. Yet her guilt that she sometimes feels, the love that she sometimes expresses, and her few moments of accountability suggest that redemption is within reach, but only if she continues to confront her past and prioritize those that she loves. The show has definitely left her arc open-ended, which does reflect the messy reality of human growth. Whether she is ultimately redeemable may depend less on her actions than on whether we as viewers believe that even the most broken among us can find a path to grace. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Shauna in the present day can be redeemed? As I said earlier, I do think it's possible, but I don't know how likely it is. But definitely leave a comment down below. Let me know all your thoughts. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on future Yellowjackets posts. Please also go follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And I will see you guys next time.